Metadata and Technical Communications by Paula Roux. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines metadata as a set of data that describes and gives information about other data. Tim Berners-Lee defines it as information about information, and in reference to web design, as machine understandable information about web resources or other things. He also says, the world of the World Wide Web is a world of information, and some of that information is information about information. So often there are a lot of questions about metadata because it's something that's mostly behind the scenes to a user of a website, but it's very much in the hands of the designer of the website. So there are a lot of questions about when to use it and what its importance is to website design and document design as well. And so those questions: how important is metadata? What metadata should be captured? Where and when is it used? So metadata is one of the key elements of site design and management, and it's often a driving factor for the purchase of a content management system or other similar publishing tools. Its purposes are to help users find what they're looking for via search or navigation tools, and also to help authors and administrators manage a website. So specifically, title, keywords, descriptions, they help provide better descriptions for pages on the site. And that helps users who are searching for specific information, and it helps authors behind the scenes, again, as I said, to navigate through their site and the information that's presented, and to know who authored the document or the site, when, what version, etc. And so standard fields of metadata come down to about 7, and they're title, description, publish date, review date, expiry date, author, and keywords. And you see we've bolded keywords because that's something that the user might be more inclined to use than some of this other information. And again, you can see how the description of the content or the publish date is really information about the information being presented, which is really what metadata comes back to being. So again, speaking about keywords, just to go in a little bit more detail, keywords need to be correct and consistent. So, and when multiple authors are entering keywords, inconsistency is rampant. And you could imagine a word might be pluralized, or maybe even incorrect spellings. And if the metadata had to be able to search successfully or provide information for all the variations of searches, it would get very complex, very comprehensive, very quickly. And in the best use of metadata is to keep a consistent naming, or as the last bullet, the taxonomy, even a set of vocabulary words that are specific and can be chosen by the user, as opposed to leaving it up to the user to just plug in a word and try to navigate through the site. So your best uses are a standard list of items, almost in a drop-down box where people could choose a word. Metadata in content management systems, it describes not only what the content is, but how it is used and who uses it. And in content management, metadata is vital for categorizing content, in retrieving and tracking content, and allowing more effective use and reuse of content. And reuse of content is also a huge component, especially for technical writers and communicators when composing online help documents etc. Reusing content without having to rebuild sections and reusing portions it's very, very helpful to keep these documents, which could get very large with many pages, to keep them streamlined. And so reusing content is important, and properly built metadata can allow users and authors to create a situation where content can be reused and keep the website streamlined. So extensible markup languages are software languages or programs that have been developed for technical documentation and communication. And XMLs in particular are very flexible. They're vendor neutral and platform independent. They're very flexible programs that can be used in a variety of ways with a variety of output, either web or, say, PDF style documents for technical communicators. And they are used, again, they use these XML programs, use metadata for search engines and search navigating through sites, but also to inform the writers of the documents, the composers of the technical documents about data. Again, author, publisher, editor, version. Very important for the composers to understand exactly the document that they are using or creating. And these programs have embraced this to the point where some of that metadata is automatically built into elements and attributes, which are parts of XML programs. One particular XML is Darwin Information Typing Architecture, or DITA, and this is one of the industry standards. It's perhaps one of the more popular or powerful tools for constructing technical documentation. And it uses the program itself suggests a strategy for metadata that helps create information that will be easy to find. So keywords and index entries help search engines and users find specific content. So the metadata behind the scenes is helping users find particular information. It also helps keep the site easy to manage. It helps the writers organize topics and find topics. And finally, it uses metadata to target information for a specific audience. And so the metadata can be manipulated to include or exclude information available. It can be used to provide just the information that is specific to users, and so that it's just what they need, versus a whole lot of information, too much information, than much more than what the user needs to see. So metadata is data about data. It's used by users and authors in order to understand the mountains of data that a website or a document contains. A good use of metadata makes information easy for users to find. And again, it clarifies things for authors as well. Consistent naming or terminology or taxonomy, as we said, facilitates use of metadata, which then helps the users find the information they are needing. And new XML languages, DITA, for document design, are using metadata very much as part of their language and document design and documentation. Thank you. This concludes my presentation on metadata.